German Ironman is the best and the most exciting race in the world.
Say it's about 100,000 spectators and 50,000 from them, they call your name.
It's the biggest race. It's the biggest Ironman in the world, and it's the biggest race in Germany.
Well, the best thing is all the spectators. I mean, you're never alone. They're always there to cheer you. And so they will cheer you on, and they'll read on your name on the list even if they don't know you. And it doesn't matter if it's the first person or the last person, they'll still cheer, and that's very good.
Maybe the most spectators in the world of triathlon we have, so it's just a race to be there.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's one of the biggest events after Hawaii, and so of course I would like to win it.
There's no doubting that the 2000 Quelle Ironman Europe is the biggest and the best yet. For the women, Uta Muckel tells us about the field.
Oh, there are a lot of other women who are going to be able to beat. I think it's the best field in the last 5 years here in Roth. And start on with Susanne Nielsen from Denmark.
In her debut here, Nielsen finished third in 1997.
And Heather Furr, she won Ironman in Hawaii. And
it's the first time here. How will she do?
It's Lisa Bentley, she won New Zealand this year. And yeah, a couple of other women who can be very strong.
This is Nina Kraft, second here last year. And surely Uta Muckel would like to produce the form she did in 1996 when she won the women's race. Well, what about the men's race? He wears number 1. He's won the race 5 times. That's Jürgen Zach.
Well, the season overall was not that bad. I at least won German Ironman for the 5th time, but in Hawaii I couldn't do it. I couldn't go because of a back injury, and I had to have a long break and lots of treatment, and it didn't look good. At sometimes doctors said this might be the end of the sport, but I managed to overcome this and have a little bit lack of mileage, but no lack of confidence.
Well, he certainly never lacked confidence. Number 2 is Thomas Hellriegel. Won Hawaii, but never won in Roth.
Yeah, just I think my endurance is just a little bit better, and maybe my strength to my power.
Well, Thomas Hellriegel has just about won everything in the sport, but he's never won the Quelle Ironman in Europe. Someone who has, though, is Lothar Leder. He wears number 5, broke the world record here back in 1996 when he was victorious. And Lothar Leder, one of the 3 Germans who are looking to win here in the year 2000. Number 4 is the Swiss athlete Christoph Mau. He finished 4th last year. He went on to finish 4th in the Ironman in Hawaii. Number 13 is the boy who's just won Down Under, Norman Stadler. And number 10, Dr. Rainer Muller, finished 3rd in Ironman Lanzarote just a couple of months ago.
I don't know it. What is it? It's a new one. I don't know. Very different for the short distance.
Well, that's Arndt Schomburg and Ralf Egger. 2 Germans are now trying the Ironman distance. They didn't qualify for the Olympics over the shorter Olympic distance, so they thought they'd give it a go here. Along with 2,704 athletes. Yes, 2,704 athletes. This is the biggest Ironman in the world. It's not the biggest triathlon, but it certainly is biggest by far of the Ironman races. Well, the first wave of 12 is the elite men, the elite women, and all the oldie-goldies. There we are, right in the middle. Wearing number 1 is Jürgen Zapp. Behind him is Andreas Niedrich. We didn't see him at the top of the show, but he's another German who could threaten for the lead here. What a field we have. It's not just the biggest field in the world, it's the best field in the world. I think the only one missing is Luc van Lierde of Belgium, the current Hawaii Ironman champion. Well, we heard them. This is a German, 4 Germans. Anyone else who wants to come along will certainly be challenging the Germans. Well, it's the opening 3.8 kilometers, 2.4 miles of swimming in the Rhine-Main-Donau Canal. And up front at the moment is Wolfgang Dietrich and Andreas Niedrich, both Germans heading a major German field. going back through. There's Zach struggling along with Thomas Hellriegel. And in fact, the second woman last year, Nina Kraft. This is Niedrich leading though. And with him, just in front, is Wolfgang Dietrich. Dietrich's had the fastest swim split here on numerous occasions, but the quickest of them all is Michael Prufert. Back in 1997, he went 43 minutes and 35 seconds when the swim was in the Roth, which is just the other side, and some certainly questioned the distance. Dietrich's fastest time is 44:36 in 1998. This is Dietrich heading them out, as he's done so often. Very simple swim. Leading for the women, she's in third or fourth position at the moment. It's Ute Muckel, and I remember a few years ago she was first out of the water in an Ironman distance race up in Yuma. Third place there in the blue cap was Lothar Leder, so he's certainly in prime spot.
Well, it's fast for sure. I'm not sure if it's long or short, but it's definitely fast, since it's like swimming in a pool basically without the black line on the bottom. But that's it, you go straight out, you come straight back, and there's nothing to it. You can't get lost, you don't need to look even, you just follow the boys.
That's what Wolfgang Dietrich is doing at the moment. He's coming towards the end of his career, and he would really like to go out with a victory, but I think although he's still a great swimmer, his biking is still pretty good, but injuries of old have certainly caught up with him on the running course, and I don't think today Wolfgang Dietrich will feature too well at the end of the race. But it's good to see him still racing. So he leads. Andreas Niedrich is second. Niedrich finished third last year when Jürgen Zach won for the fifth time. Thomas Hellriegel was second once again. In third position is Lothar Leder, and leading the women's race in fourth position overall is Ute Muckel. And of course, she's German. So Germans 1, 2, 3 and 4 at the moment. And I think Germany's fifth as well with Rolf Eggert. So Eggert, the short distance specialist, is doing well. This is Lothar Leder here, broke the world record. First man ever to go under that magical 8-hour barrier. And right behind him in green there is the lead woman, Ute Muckel. Of course, the 8-hour barrier, I suppose, is more akin to the 4-minute mile for the other athletes. This is Nina Kraft in second position for the women. She finished second here last year, and she is in good shape. This is Rolf Eggert I mentioned. He's in fourth position for the men at the moment. He was hoping to qualify for the German team for the Olympic Games in Sydney come September, but failed to do it. Stefan Vukovic has made that. So Eggert decided, along with Arndt Schomburger, that he'd have a go at the Ironman distance. And of course, Christoph Maut, the Swiss athlete who finished fourth here last year, changed the distances when he didn't like the drafting rules on the shorter distance races, and he showed that the short distance specialists can certainly turn their hand to these longer distances. This was the past master. That was Mark Allen many years ago. In fact, Luc van Leer, the current Ironman champion, is also finished second in the European Championships over the short distance. So we're halfway round, and the German, Wolfgang Dietrich's leading. Andreas Niedrich is second, Lothar Leder is third, and there's the lead woman, still in fourth position. That's Ute Muckel. In fifth position overall, and fourth of the men is Rolf Eggert. And right behind him it looks as though it's Danny Simmons of Belgium. Just saw Nina Kraft there, second overall for the women, and fourth overall is in fact Susanna Nielsen, and fifth is Jan Wanklin of Australia, of course married to Kenny Glar. This is Lothar Leder though, in third position overall, looking to do what he did back in 1996. He's come so close. In 1997 he broke the 8-hour barrier again and had to be satisfied with second place behind Luc van Leer. Certainly Jürgen Zach seems to have some problems. We know he's not a great swimmer, but he's normally not as far back as he is at the moment. He's well off the pace, being set here by Wolfgang Dietrich and Andreas Niedrich. They really are locked in battle, and you just saw a quick arm there of Lothar Leder. So Lothar Leder really is swimming out of his socks at the moment and stamping his authority on this race very early on. So Dietrich spends most of his time now out in California. Have a shot. Oh, Leder's not too happy. I think he's getting a little close to the boat, or the boat's getting a little close to him, shall I say. This is still Dietrich. He doesn't care about that. Neither does Niedrich right behind him. They're supposed to like Deirdrick. Deirdrick is coming up towards the end of his career. Not going to be racing many more times over this Ironman distance, certainly not as a professional. So I suppose in some ways it's a shame he's never won the big one, Wolfgang Dietrich. He really has put his heart and soul into this sport. Of course, ex-Bundesliga 2 swimmer, and that's where his strength comes from. There's Leder in second position, and right behind him is Ute Muckel, the lead woman. Second is Nina Kraft still, and third is Susanna Nielsen. So they're coming up towards the end of the opening 3.8 kilometre swim, 2.4 miles. In real terms, and look at the crowds that have come out. It's not a pleasant morning. The water temperature's a mere 15, 16 degrees, and the air temperature's not much warmer at the moment, but that's certainly not stopped the crowds coming out to support the likes of Wolfgang Dietrich, who's out in 47.21, so he's well off his time. He was out in 47.23 back in 1993. And the following year is out in 46.36. So Dietrich now picks up his bike, heads to the changing tent, and right behind him is Andreas Niedrich. This is our third athlete now, in fact. Eggert has gone through and overtaken Lotte Leder right at the end of the swim. So Leder now is down in fourth position, and Ute Muckel, the lead woman, is out in 47.45, what in fifth position overall. So at the transition area, it's Wolfgang Dietrich just finding his bike. This is Eggert coming in, so Eggert really has a great race early on. Let's see how he does for the distance, though. He's not used to it. He's only been training over the distance for 3 or 4 weeks. But of course, they do put in a huge amount of mileage. There's Leder straight through. Niedrich's a little slower through. He's putting his cycling shoes on, and the likes of Eggert and Leder will wait till they're out onto the bike. Here's the lead woman, still Ute Muckel. And like the rest of them, she's going to wait towards the end. Here's Thomas Hellriegel, well off the course. So Hellriegel's out in 10th position in 49.13. So Hellriegel's got a bit of work to go, but he is known as Hell Drive, so he won't worry too much about this. Here's Susanna Nielsen of Denmark, third out of the water, the current world champion over the long distance. She's third behind Nina Kraft and Ute Muckel. And here is Jürgen Zach. Now, Jürgen Zach has major problems. He's something like 8 minutes adrift of the leader. And although he's known as the fastest biker in the sport, that is one heck of a distance to catch up. And he doesn't really seem to have all that much urgency. So perhaps this is not the day for Jürgen Zach. Here's Rainer Müller, Dr. Rainer Horner Müller. I say doctor, he now is a qualified doctor. And in fact, he did coach was the doctor of the local football team. Here's Thomas Hellriegel getting his act together. Doesn't like the code, doesn't like the wet, and you can see he's already got a waterproof on the top. His arms are free, but he's got some good coverage on his torso. As Olaf Sabatashu's just come through, as Jürgen Zach now makes his way down to his bike. There's Christoph Mauk just going out, so Mauk didn't have a great swim either. So perhaps it's the code, certainly isn't the wet, it's the wet for everyone. Jürgen Zach has some more problems. He had this a couple of years ago in Ironman Hawaii when he reckoned that someone played with his helmet and broke his strap, and now he's having problems putting his strap on again. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Here's Lisa Bentley. She's down in fifth position for the woman, behind Jan Wanklin and Susanna Nielsen. Zach is still in the bike park. Well, that took him an age, didn't it? He lost 8 minutes in the swim. He's lost another couple of minutes. There's Jan Wanklin right in front of him going out onto the bike course. This is Heather Furr. She's got her weakest discipline out of the way, the swim. And afterwards, it's the bike and the run, which is coming up next.
Stockholm. It's always outstanding, but this time it's extra special. The sprint includes Atto Bolden, Darren Campbell from Britain and Francis Obikwilu from Nigeria. And in the women's 100, Marion Jones, Inga Miller and Jana Pintusevich Block. Athletics Mission Sydney 2000, the Stockholm Grand Prix, Tuesday live at 18:30 CET. In the fast lane with Eurosport.
Welcome back to the Quella Ironman Europe, which is not only for the elites and the age groupers, it's also a sport that now the paraplegics, the disableds have also taken up. And this is Randy Cadell from Kona. Yeah, he lives out in Kona now, training specifically for the Hawaii Ironman, which he has completed. He's tried Lanzarote, the Ironman, hasn't completed that. And earlier this year he tried New Zealand. So what actually keeps him going?
Just being fueled right keeps me going. And having a good attitude is another thing that keeps me going. It's just body aches or cramps is what usually stops me. If I feel my body going on me, I'll listen to it right away and pull myself out just so I don't hurt myself. Like last year I did 5 Ironmans and the only one I didn't finish was Lake Placid because I cramped on the run. So I pulled myself out of the run and saved myself for Kona.
He's also saved himself for Quella Ironman Europe, which I think is the fastest type of course for him. Although the hills are on the bike course, it's a very fast course, as we've seen by all the records that have been set here. So 180 kilometers, 2 laps and an out section back to the transition area in Roth itself. And our early swim leader, Wolfgang Dietrich, is also struggling. He's been passed already by Lothar Leder, who heads the field. So Lothar Leder, who for me had the best swim I've ever seen in an Ironman for him, is really stamping his authority early on this course. He knows Zach, he's heard the news that Zach is way off the pace, and he's going to make it as difficult as he can for the Zach man to catch him, because the Zach strength is the bike and he normally holds on during the run. Well, that's what he's done for 5 times, isn't it, when he's won here before. Leder's won once, and he would surely love to do it again. Well, he's looking around, wondering what's happening, and not a lot is happening behind him. This is in second place, Ralf Eggert. He's gone past also Wolfgang Dietrich, who's now starting to struggle just a bit. And Eggert, well, for me, he could be one of the Ironman distance men of the future. He's got a great pedigree and experience over the shorter distance, and if he can turn that experience into the longer distance, then he could be a real threat and a real challenge to the likes of Luc van Leerd, Lothar Leder, Jürgen Zach, and the rest of them in the coming years. But he's got to learn. This is not a race you can come out and win for the first time. Well, saying that, of course, Luc van Leerd did. He also broke the Ironman record. He broke the world record, so yeah, okay. You can do it, but certainly Van Leerd has some, perhaps some more pedigree, some better pedigree than Rolf Eggert, because of course he did win over the long distance, the Nice Triathlon. He was the long distance world champion when he went to Hawaii. Saying that, look out for this guy in the future. So Leder leads, Eggert is second, and third is Andreas Niedrich. But someone starting to make a move is Thomas Hellriegel. He was 10th out of the 10th quickest with 49.13. That's just a fraction under 2 minutes behind Wolfgang Dietrich, but 2 minutes for the Hell Drive for Hellriegel is not a lot. But one thing he doesn't like is the code. I remember talking to him a few years ago, and he says he carries around a barometer with him. Well, this is Jürgen Zach, and for me, he doesn't look comfortable, does he? It's a new bike he started last year. It's only the first time he's tried it over the Ironman distance, and look at this, some of the other professionals passing him. We've never seen this before, so there's certainly something awry with Jürgen Zach. It's not the Zach attack of old. It's the Zach the slow man here. He really is cruising, man, unlike the front of the course, and Eggert is starting to challenge Leder. Well, Leder certainly knows Eggert, because like Eggert, Leder races over the Olympic distance. He tried to qualify for the Olympics and just missed out, which was a shame. So this is Zach, and for me, the days of Zach are over, certainly today. And just after this, he did indeed stop, turn around and call it a day. So Jürgen Zach, the 5-time winner here in Roth, not having a great day on this occasion. The 2000 Quella Ironman Europe was not for Jürgen Zach, and that's a shame, because he certainly would have got the pace up on the bike, and these conditions that we've got today are pretty good. They're also pretty good for Team Hoyt. Yes, Dick and Ricky Hoyt. Dick Hoyt, the father, pulls his son in this discipline. Ricky, who just, well, I suppose he sleeps. Why are they here?
Well, ever since I was a little boy going to school, I used to, when I was studying history, there was 2 places I always wanted to go, and one was Japan, and the other one was Germany. And we went to Japan in '94, '95, and here we are now in Germany. It took us a few years to get here, but we're here. And it's just great. The people here are fantastic, wonderful people. You won't find any nicer people. Everybody's so nice and accommodating to you. It's unbelievable.
Well, I suppose Dick Hoyt must be the greatest father of all time. His son, who's totally handicapped, really got involved with this sport a few years ago when he was at university. Yes, he's at university. He did graduate. He's now 38 years old. He graduated a few years ago. He saw a running race, and he said to his dad, or he communicated with his dad, because he doesn't talk, he communicated through his computer. He said, "Dad, I'd like to do that." So what Dick did. He put him in a wheelchair and he pushed him 5 kilometers, and they've been going from strength to strength ever since. They've done numerous marathons. They've competed in Hawaii twice. They've completed it twice. Last year was the second time. They came back after something like a 10-year break, and it really is one of the best and the most emotional human interest stories I've certainly seen. So here we are, out of the water in just over 2 hours. So he puts Ricky in the front of his bike, and it's a new bike. Someone's given him a bike and designed it, because if you saw the Hawaii Ironman broadcast last year, you remember they had a few problems. Their old bike of many years was squeaking and moaning as it went up towards the Harvey turn, and someone has kindly made them a new bike. And I was talking to Dick, and he said he's only been on it for 2 hours, and that might cause him a few problems. Well, this is our lead woman. This is Susanna Nielsen, the world long distance champion. She took the lead early on the bike ride, but up front for the men, it's still Lothar Leder. He's got away slightly from Rolf Eggert, and he's pushing on. He's got the news. He's heard the news that Jürgen Zach is out of the race, and that will give him tremendous confidence. I suppose his major threat now is Thomas Hellriegel, but at the moment it's still Rolf Eggert who's threatening for that lead. He's in second position. Yet another doctor. I always wondered how they find time to train. At any rate, we asked him about this race.
Yeah, definitely, because I didn't get the Olympic team, the Olympic spot, and so I decided pretty shortly, just 4 weeks ago, to take part in the Ironman. I'm looking for a new challenge, so I think that's a good challenge to be here tomorrow. It's very exciting for me to be in a big race like Roth, and I've been here as a spectator a couple of years ago, and when I was here I thought, okay, next time I come here I will come as an athlete, not as a spectator, and so I'm doing it right now.
He's doing it right now, and he's doing it extremely well. He's in second place behind Lothar Leder, who of course is the past master over this distance. He was the first guy to break the hour barrier. He held the world record. This is Andreas Niedrich, now in third position behind Rolf Eggert. He's in a little group with Rainer Muller, and I think Thomas Hellriegel is also in that group. He's come through now after his swim. Well, one thing that the Quella Ironman Roth course is famous for is the Solar Berg Hill, and what a hill it is. We get something like 30 to 40,000 screaming German fans. Well, there might be a few other nations in there, and they really do encourage you all the way up. In recent years they put barriers at the lower parts of the slopes, but when they go up a bit further you'll see they're all over the course. They're certainly edging and cajoling and supporting Lothar Leder as he makes the climb.
It's Germany, it's my home country, and I like it. I started here doing long distance races, and I have a lot of good memories on the race course here. And the weather is going to be not so fine tomorrow, so that I like this kind of weather. And I enjoy the people, and it's kind of fun to race here in Roth. It's not too much pain, it's just fun.
I must admit, that's one thing I like about Lothar Leder. He always has a smile on his face, and he really does make this sport fun, if you can think of racing over 8 hours as fun. So there's Wolfgang Dietrich going a little further back as Rainer Muller passes him. He's just on the back now of that chase group, which includes the likes of Andreas Niedrich and Alexander Muger here. Seen in the picture, Alexander Muger, he was something like 7th out of the water behind Danny Simmons and Jörg Schmidt. Then they were right behind Lothar Leder. So there we are, Andreas Niedrich, Alexander Muger and Rainer Muller. And it looks as though at the moment Thomas Hellriegel hasn't caught them. I thought he had caught them, but he's just a bit... Yes, there he is, in fact. Thomas Hellriegel is in that group, so I wasn't mistaken. The black strip could have been that of Alexander Muger, but it's not. It's Thomas Hellriegel. So Muger, Hellriegel, Niedrich and Rainer Muller now are trying to work as much as they can together to make some inroads into the lead of Lothar Leder and Rolf Eggert. Well, this is two retirements. Surprisingly, Christoph Mauk and, well, not surprisingly, perhaps Wolfgang Dietrich, but certainly Mauk was in good form, and I'm really surprised that he has dropped out so early on. Perhaps the code is affecting him, but it's certainly not affecting Susanna Nielsen here. She's dressed for it, got the leggings on. She's in front of Uta Muckel and Nina Kraft. And Heather Furr is starting to make a move, as is Lisa Bentley, after what for them I suppose was their normal swim. There's nothing normal about this guy. He really is abnormal in his ability to race over all distances. Who's behind, he says? Well, we'll find out after the break.
Stockholm. It's always outstanding, but this time it's extra special. The sprint includes Atto Boldon, Darren Campbell from Britain and Francis Obikwilu from Nigeria. And in the women's 100, Marion Jones, Inga Miller and Jana Pintusevich Block. Athletics Mission Sydney 2000, the Stockholm Grand Prix, Tuesday live at 18:30 CET. In the fast lane with Eurosport.
With Isostar, the fast-acting isotonic sports drink. And Rico. Which athlete achieved the 200-400 metre double in Atlanta? Atto Boldon, Linford Christie, Michael Johnson. Fantastic multimedia PCs must be won. So call the Eurosport line now. You could also win Eurosport jackets.
The Quella Ironman Europe is not just about the professionals, it's also about the age groupers. 2,700 of them are competing this year, and most of them are vying for that spot in Hawaii. This is the biggest race, the biggest qualifier for the Hawaii Ironman. It's not just for the young, it's also for the older gentlemen. This is Arvid Hager. He's in the 70-plus age group, looking for that spot in Hawaii. Another one in that category is Gerhard Kraus, both Germans, of course. He's the same age, and it really is a tough division to qualify. Just one spot up for grabs, and there are, 5 or 6 of them in each of the older divisions here. It really is tough throughout this race to get that lovely spot in Hawaii. Just a little younger, Gunther Radisch from TV Hennef. He's just a mere 66 years old in the 65 to 69-year-old category, working hard on one of the many hills on this Ironman course, the Quella Ironman Europe course. Because these older guys did start in the first wave, that's why you were seeing many of the age groupers going past them. Alfred Hintzmann, another in the same category. He's from Norderstedt. He's a mere 68 years young. Another one of the older gentlemen. This is up the top. This is Bill Ulbrich of the USA. It really is so tough to qualify. They travel all over the world to get to the Hawaii Ironman. Horst Slabinger is also looking to go there. He's in the 65 to 69-year-old category and cruising along with a motorway beside him. Another one of the older gentlemen. This is Lewis Hollander, the other American in the field. He's from Oregon, and like Bill Ulbrich, he would love to be there later in October in Hawaii, as would Randy Cadell. I think he will be there because I think he's been invited back again as one of the several now wheelchair categories that are allowed to compete in the lava fields on the big island of Hawaii. So how are the Hoyts doing? Well, they're doing quite nicely, thank you very much. It's early days, a long time to go, but Dick and Ricky are certainly enjoying this new bike and enjoying the challenge of the road course. They'd heard it was tough and they've got the big hills to come, but you've seen before the people will be there to cheer them up, the Solerberg and the Hippelstein Hill, which is the final one on each of the 2 laps. Here we are at the Solerberg. As many of the age groupers wind their way up through the thousands of people there to support every one of them. As we heard from the pros and not just the amateurs, this is the great thing about the Quella Ironman course. The spectators, they've grown with this race over the 13 years, and this is the 13th year this race has been held here. They've grown with it and supported it and grown in numbers. And someone who's grown in stature all the time is Lothar Leder. He really is pushing on now. He's, as they say over here, he's going at a fair old lick. He's schnelling it. And, well, He's going to be tough to beat today. He certainly has the experience there, as Rolf Eggert now goes through in second place up at the Hippelstein climb. And in third place now is Thomas Hellriegel. So Thomas Hellriegel is going well. And here's our first glance of Norman Stadler, Stormin Norman Stadler, who won down in Australia just a couple of months ago, along with Lisa Bentley, who's also racing here. Well, next for the men up the Solerberg is Andreas Niedrich and Alexander Muger from Berlin, right on his wheel as they grind their way up over. It's about a mile and a half up over here, and people line it all the way. And certainly Susanna Nielsen, leading for the women, the world long distance champion, will be looking forward to that in what for her will be about 20 kilometers time. Well, she made her debut over the Ironman distance a couple of years ago, and she finished third, gained some experience since then. So we asked her what her thoughts are for this year.
I hope I'll do, of course, better than the last time I was here. But we'll see. You know, it's not gonna be that hot a competition tomorrow, and that can also have a good effect or a different effect on the race. And I feel pretty good with colder weather, so that's fine. So I can't complain about that. And we'll see. I did a bit of a too much strong training in the spring and had to take a break. So I'll have to see. So I'm coming back now, fresh.
She certainly is fresh, and Susanna Nielsen is one of the few women athletes who like racing in the cold and the warm. And for me, I think sometimes she'll win the Hawaii Ironman. So our lead man is still Lothar Leder. He's on the second lap now. He's well into the second lap, and he's extending his lead slightly on Rolf Eggert, who is under pressure from Thomas Hellriegel. Here's Eggert. And towards the end of the second lap, the heavens opened and it poured down with rain. And just bear in mind, these people he's passing here have to go around again, so it's pretty miserable for them. They're going to be on their bikes for maybe 8, 9, 10 hours, some of them, where the likes of Eggert and Leder will be on there for about 4.5 hours. This is our third placed athlete, dressed for the weather, Thomas Hellriegel, and I think he's glad that he has got that wind cheater on, because he does hate the cold, he hates the wet, and that could be the reason he hasn't won here.
The bike course I don't like too much, because it's very hard to find the rhythm. It's short, steep uphill and then long downhill, and I think it's better for more heavy people. And of course the weather is a problem. Sometimes it's very cold and rains, and I don't like it too much, and my muscles cramp, and so it's very hard for me.
Well, this year he's done something a little different. He's been up to Boulder, Colorado, doing some high altitude training.
I think my endurance is just a little bit better, and maybe my strength to my power. So yeah, no, 2 minutes maybe would be enough.
Well, 2 minutes might not be enough. Well, this is Stadler in fourth position, just off the pace, cruising along. And we asked him about his race here today.
Ja, ich möchte ein gutes Rennen machen, wie
he
immer.
says, I want to have a good race. I'm here to win like every other athlete.
Ich bin realistisch.
And his opinion, 10 athletes could win. Jürgen Stack knows the course very well, and I only know it really and experienced on it on the bike course. He's failed to finish before. He says, I don't know the running track at all. The weather is good for me, not too warm. I do everything today, he says, especially to keep in touch during the swimming, and you'll see what happens. Well, he's not far off keeping in touch. This is Rolf Eggert in second position, cruising along quite nicely behind Lothar Leder, who is leading. And he hasn't got away that much. This is, in my opinion, a great ride by Rolf Eggert.
Enjoying it? You enjoying it? Oh yeah.
Well, there we are. We asked him if he's enjoying it, and he says yes. He told us he was out here to have fun, and it's great to see these young guys coming along and having fun over the Ironman distance. Thomas Hellriegel, he knows all about winning these races. Not here in Roth, he's never won it. He's finished second on 2 or 3 times, and now that Zach's out of the way, he must have confidence that maybe he could win it. He's gradually getting into Lothar Leder's lead, and who knows, by the end of the bike ride, he may be pretty close. So Leder, he's off the bike. 4 hours, 29 minutes and 51 seconds was his bike split, so not particularly quick. They've gone 15, 20 minutes quicker here. This is Hellriegel coming into the bike park, and he's not that far behind. He was looking for around about 2 minutes, but it's going to be nearer 4 minutes. He was 2 minutes slower after the swim, and his bike ride is going to be about 2 minutes slower than Lothar Leder. So altogether, just about 4 minutes to play with between him and the front of the Quella Ironman Europe lead, which of course is held at the moment by Lothar Leder. So here is Lothar Leder. He's starting the final marathon run, 42.2 kilometers, 26 and a bit miles. As our third athlete comes in, that's Rolf Eggert. He dropped a bit on the tail end of that bike ride, but that's to be expected for a short distance specialist. As the rain comes down, our fourth athlete comes in, Norman Stadler. So Germany 1, 2, 3 and 4, and in fifth position is also a German, as Stadler heads out now on to the final marathon run. He's in winning form, so who knows? He's looking sprightly as he heads off onto the marathon, so he could come back and cause some damage later on. Andreas Niedrich, looking a little stiff after his bike ride, is in fifth position, and still leading for the woman, it's Susanna Nielsen as she comes through Hector Müller, better known as the Beer Mile. I don't know if she wants to come out and have a drink, but certainly the hundreds and tens of hundreds out there are certainly enjoying their beer, which of course Germany is famous for. So our leader, Lothar Leder, out on the 42.2 kilometer run course, and it's a windy affair. It sort of goes out to the Rhine-Main-Donau Canal, where they started the race several hours ago. And the nice thing is for the leaders and in those chasing is that they can see each other, because it's an out and back affair on either side of the canal. So here we are, Susanna Nielsen coming in. 5 hours, 25 minutes and 6 seconds was her bike split. And can she maintain a lead? We'll see after the break.
Last year, NEC applied for 15,000 patents. NEC. 15,000 patents. Semiconductors, IT solutions, NEC. Telecommunications. NEC. Constantly producing internet solutions that expand the limits of what's possible. But spare a thought for Mr. Kowalski.
Hämmern, pinseln, kleben, die Riesenauswahl auf Ihr Hobby zugeschnitten? Klicken Sie jetzt auf www.hobbyweb.de. Hinein ins Einkaufserlebnis.
Stockholm. It's always outstanding, but this time it's extra special. The sprint includes Atto Boldon, Darren Campbell from Britain and Francis Obikwilu from Nigeria. And in the women's 100, Marion Jones, Inga Miller and Jana Pintusevich Block. Athletics Mission Sydney 2000, the Stockholm Grand Prix, Tuesday live at 18:30 CET. In the fast lane with Eurosport.
With Isostar, the fast-acting isotonic sports drink. And Rico.
We're coming to the closing stages of the 2000 Ironman in Roth, the Quella Ironman Europe, and Randy Cadell is doing well on the bike course. He's well in front of his schedule, and I think certainly this is going to be a PB for Randy Cadell as he heads off now onto the second lap of 2. Susanna Nielsen was first off the bike for the women, and second off the bike, our swim leader, Ute Mukkel, of course won this race back in 1996, and she's chasing down Susanna Nielsen, who would surely love to win her first official Ironman. She's been on her lonesome throughout the bike course, and that could be to her disadvantage. Heather Furr is third off the bike, and now this is where it comes to her domain. She is one of the quickest, if not the quickest, runners in the sport. Entertainment at Roth? Well, it's there all the time, all the way round the course with the thousands, the hundreds of thousands of spectators. Lothar Leder leading in the men's division. And I can tell you that Thomas Hellriegel is starting to close him down. He came off the bike something like just over 4 minutes adrift, and already after about 5 or so kilometers, it's down to 3 minutes. So Leder is certainly starting to tire. I don't think Hellriegel's speeding up that much, but Leder is starting to slow just a bit. He's going through a bad spell, as one would expect. This is our fifth place woman, Jan Wankland of Australia. She was fifth off the bike. This is a race she won way back in 1990, the third year of the race. She won it in 9 hours, 21 minutes and 29 seconds. Heather Furr from Canada, the Ironman champion of a couple of years ago. She would surely love to win this one, as it's certainly not on her resume. But what about winning Ironman? Has that changed things?
You know, and it really hasn't made a lot of change to win Hawaii. I still go into the races the same as I did before, hoping to do the best that I can. And if that's winning, you know, that's great. And if it's not, that's okay too. But it does give you a boost of confidence, definitely. And I think that's probably really the only change.
Well, she's come back from behind, something like 9 or 10 minutes when she won in Hawaii. And she's not that far behind today. This is Nina Kraft, who was just behind Fur coming off the bike. She's running well. And at the moment, she's a little outside her second place that she finished last year. But who knows, there's a long way to come. And she does look pretty comfortable at the moment. Just in front of her is Uta Mukkel. She's now down on the canal path, the Rhine-Main-Donau Canal, where she was first out of the water. What about the victory?
For the win for the women race, it's during the run. Will be during the run and not during the bike. Yeah, I have to save my energy a bit and go my speed and listen to my body on the bike. Take a look a bit to the other women and what they are doing, how far behind or in front of me. Yeah, I decided during the race.
She did. She maintained that position on the bike just behind Susanne Nielsen, but she's under pressure here from Nina Kraft. Nina Kraft finished second last year and Uta Mukkel finished third, and they're going to switch places once again in 2000. Well, the German pair of Kraft and Mukkel are having a bit of a battle royal here as Kraft goes by, eases by. Just for your interest, they'll run down the end, go out a bit, turn around and come back up this towpath. And then they'll go across the other side of the canal and go up and down as well. So this is our leader. This is Susanne Nielsen. She's lolloping along here and she doesn't look that comfortable. She's clipping along at a reasonable pace, but I don't think she's finding this too easy. She's been by herself just about all the race, and that does get a little lonely, and it demands total concentration. She's trying to pace herself off the watch. Well, Mukkel was passed by Nina Kraft, and now she's been passed by Heather Fur. Heather Fur, in fact, was fourth off the bike, but Nina Kraft passed her in the changing tent. So here's our leader, Susanne Nielsen, coming through the huge crowds as Rolf Eggert goes the other way. He's about in, something like 4th or 5th position at the moment, and he's doing pretty well. Susanne Nielsen leading, and in second position, it's now Heather Fur. Heather Fur has gone past Nina Kraft. So here we are. The Ironman champion of a couple of years ago is going for broke. Here she comes, Heather Fur, the Canadian. Lives in San Diego with her coach and husband, Roth Fry. She heads out, and she will certainly know how far she is behind Susanne Nielsen. Here's Nina Kraft in third position. And perhaps that little spurt is taking its toll. She may have found it better just to even her pace slightly. Who am I to say, though? She finished second last year. And in fourth position, Uta Mukkel, the 1996 champion. And she's not going to repeat that this year unless something dramatic happens. And in the men's race, it's still Lothar Leder up front. But he has been etched back by Thomas Hellriegel, who is certainly having a good run at the moment. Here's Hellriegel, taking advantage of the crowds that have come out to support all the Germans. In third position is Andreas Niedrich. He's gone past Rolf Eggert, who is now down in fourth position. This is Eggert in fourth position. So 10 kilometers he's used to running, now it's 42.2 kilometers. Back with our women's race, Nina Kraft. She's in third position at the moment, just in front of Uta Mukkel, who's dropping off quite quickly the pace that the other women have set. And certainly the fastest woman on the course at the moment is Heather Fur, the Canadian. She's shown in the past that her strength is the run, and once again she's showing it here in Ironman Europe in Roth, the Quella Ironman. She is totally concentrated on the job in hand, taking advantage of the many feed stations that are out, and up front it's still Susanne Nielsen, but her stride is shortened just that little bit. She's still pumping those arms though, trying to keep the rhythm going, but she's heard that running her down is Heather Fur, and I don't think it's going to be long before she's going to be caught, but she's going to take every advantage and lap up being in front of this Quella Ironman Europe race. So leading the long distance world champion from Denmark, Susanne Nielsen, and running her down is Heather Fur, the Ironman champion of a couple of years ago. And here we are. This is the demise of Susanne Nielsen. Look at the difference in cadence, the spring in the style. flat-footed a little by Susanna Nielsen, but upright as a boat is Heather Furr. She lollops along and just cruises by. No chance to say much. Not that she would at any rate. Although, of course, Nielsen does speak good English. Or Canadian, is it? Any rate, the new leader, Heather Furr. First time here in Roth. And could it be a first-time victory?
I really don't know what to expect tomorrow. I'm just going to go out there and try and have a strong race through all three disciplines, and maybe not have to play catch-up quite as much as I generally do on the run. That would be ideal for me if I could be a little bit closer when it came to the run time. But we'll see. I'm just going to try and just have the best race that I can.
Well, she was 9 minutes back behind Uda Mukkala at the water, but I suppose more importantly, she was 6 minutes behind Susanna Nielsen. She's caught that up during the bike and this final run, and now she is in pole position. The number 55, Heather Furr from Canada, and she is the second most, or has the second most number of victories over the Ironman distance for the woman. She's won Japan twice. She's won Lake Placid once. She's won Brazil a couple of times. She's won 9 Ironman races. Is this number 10? Could well be. Well, this is Thomas Hellriegel. He's got within a minute of our leader, Lothar Leder. He can see him up front. We can just see him in the distance there, so he's not that far behind. Now, can Lothar Leder respond, and can Thomas Hellriegel find something? Only time will tell, and there's not that much time left. They're in the last 10 or so kilometers of the race, and it's going to come right down to the wire. We've seen it here before when Luc van Leerd passed Jurgen Zak with something like 3 or 4 kilometers to go. Leder's on his way back from the second and final turn point as Hellriegel now goes up. They look across. No, they don't. Total glance, totally blinkered, aren't they? They're coming out the stalls and they're just looking totally focused down the canal track. So here's Hellriegel. He's been second here before. He would dearly love to win this, but I think it's starting to slip away. He's tried his best to catch them, and Lothar Leder, who went through a real bad spot for about 20 kilometers, has found something and is starting to pull away again, which is really demoralizing for the young ex-military man, the soldier, Thomas Hellriegel. Of course, the first European, no, he's the second European to win the Hawaii Ironman behind Luc van Leerd, but never won here. Of course, Luc van Leerd won here when he broke the world record. His world record is 7 hours, 50 minutes and 27 seconds, which he did in 1997 when 4 of them got under the 8-hour barrier, including Lothar Leder, including Jurgen Zak, including Thomas Hellriegel. Well, Leder, he's won this race once before. Is 2000 going to be his year? Just a couple of meters or a couple of kilometers to go, and we will see. So Leder now heads back towards home. He's got, he has got about 3 kilometers to go before he sees the finish and the thousands and thousands of people that are lined the finish line in Roth. So he's in the town of Roth, and he can hear the band, I'm sure. He can hear the music of the finish line, but he's still got a few minutes left to play. Can Hellriegel catch him? I don't think so. I think the year 2000 is going to belong to Lothar Leder, the first man ever to break the 8-hour barrier for the Ironman distance. So this is Leder on the slight descent before he gets back into the town itself. He's in the outskirts of this lovely village that is known for the Ironman, and of course nearby Nuremberg for the gingerbread man. Well, here we go. This is the lead woman, Heather Furr. I did say she's won 9 Ironman races. Of course, Paula Newby-Fraser has won something like 22. Lothar Leder, he's only won a couple of them, and this is going to be the next one for him. He is not going to be very quick today, but who cares about time? It's all about winning, and Lothar Leder is certainly going to do that. He can cruise around this final 500 meters to the finish line, really sap up the crowds. Look at all those people. They told me there was 100,000 people watching this. I think there are more. There really have been huge number of people all around the course. In the inclement weather, we've seen driving rain, we've seen a bit of sun, we've had a bit of wind, we've had more rain, but we've had people all the way around this Quella Ironman Germany course. It really is the spectator course of any Ironman. You don't see crowds like this anywhere else in the sport of triathlon. Let's hope we see them like this in the Sydney Olympic Games. I'm sure we will, because the Australians love their triathlon and are looking for some Olympic golds, especially in the women's race, where they do have the top 3 favourites for the race. But we're back with the Ironman. We're back to Germany. We're back to Roth, the Quella Ironman Germany, and Lothar Leder is certainly going to come home a winner here in Roth. Huge spectators in this finishing arena, Just to remind you, he swam 47.43, he biked 4 hours 29.51, he ran 2 hours 59.26 for an overall time of 8 hours 19 minutes and 38 seconds. And they love it. They love their Ironman here in Roth. Not as quick as 96 when he broke the world record and broke the 8-hour barrier, but a win's a win. And in second place for the second consecutive year, Thomas Hellriegel. What is he going to do to win this race? Well, time will tell. Perhaps he'll never win it. Anyway, he swam 49.13, he biked 4:31.10, he ran 2 hours 57.27, 2 minutes quicker than Lothar Leder, but it wasn't enough. He came on second in 8 hours 21 minutes and 30 seconds. Great race though by Thomas Hellriegel. And in third position, perhaps in his last race here in Roth, Andreas Niedrich, 8 hours 27 minutes and 41 seconds when he crosses the line. So how did Leder, our winner, find the race?
It was a bit boring, very hard to lead the whole race. It was a new situation for me, and I'm happy I finished first. And it was a tough day because it was so cold. It sucks the energy out of you. And Thomas came really close at kilometer 25, and I had to push hard to get rid of him. But I controlled the race, and I'm pretty happy about that. And I'm still going to continue doing long and short distance races.
Well, he is a reserve for the German team for the Olympics, so who knows, he could be there. But what about this? The woman, it's going to be her 10th Ironman victory. She swam 56.07, she biked 5:23.43, and she ran 3 hours 7 minutes 31 for an overall time of 9 hours 32 minutes and 8 seconds. Heather Furr of Canada, the 2000 Quella Ironman Europe champion. Great race by the Canadian. That's Detlef Kunnel, the race director, the man who owns this race, and what a great race he puts on. Great support, though, from the people of Roth and the surrounding community. Well, we haven't seen much of her, but in second place is another Canadian. Unfortunately, we didn't pick her up on the run course. It's Lisa Bentley, the Ironman Australia winner. She comes home second here in Roth. So we got a Canadian first and a Canadian second. 9 hours 36.57 was her time. Just over 5 minutes adrift of Furr. And in third position, she was third last year, and she's third again, Ute Muckel from Germany, the top German here in Ironman Germany.
It was a great race, just really amazing. All the people out there cheering really made it a special experience.
Well, here we are. Those are the results. Lothar Leder tops it, 8 hours 19.38. Hellriegel second, Niedrich third, Widman fourth, and Alexander Muger makes it a clean sweep for Germany. And for the women, Canada 1 and 2 with Heather Furr and Lisa Bentley. Muckel and Kraft were third and fourth, and Jan Wankman held on to fifth place. And poor old Susanna Nielsen, well, she finished sixth. And what about the Hoyts? Well, they're still on course. They're still going strong. They're off the bike. This could be certainly a course record for them, or a personal best. Dick and Ricky are going for broke. Well, we saw our older gentleman earlier in the show, and this is how they do at the finish. This is August Muir coming through for the 65 to 69-year-old categories. Just a two show over 15 hours, 32 minutes. This is the older gentleman, Weiner Lachmann, the 70-year-old plus man. Alfred Hintzman comes through as well to complete the Ironman Europe, as does eventually Gunter Radek. He was so fed up that the speaker didn't mention his name that he eventually crossed the line, towed them off, and what happened? They let him go across again. Great stuff by Gunter Radisch. But what about the Hoyts? Well, they're looking to come home by 10:30, and they do it with seconds to spare. 16 hours and 9 minutes, a personal best for the Hoyt family. Well, there's no doubt that the 2000 Quella Ironman Europe has been the biggest and the best yet. And if you're looking for the experience of the Ironman, see you here in Roth in year 2001.
Ever seen I am an Ironman.
The Mountain Bike World Cup.
With the Volvo V70 Cross Country All-Wheel Drive.
Are you a real football fan?
So answer the following question and you could win a digital camcorder and football shirts. Which is Nicolas Anelka's new club? Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain or Arsenal? Call the Eurosport line now and good luck. It began with the French Open, serving up Grand Slam tennis as we